Hey, Alex, can you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can, yes, sir.
I'm using the Golden Gate Bridge today.
Nice.
Hey, Alex, how are you?
Hi, not bad. Yourself?
Good. Do you have a presentation you want to test out?
Sure. I mean, in terms of the fact that I just finished it 5 minutes ago, or the fact that you want me to
Sounds
sit
like the
through
rest of us.
I'm glad to know we're the same person, Alex.
Oh my God. I don't think I have been this nervous in a while. I normally finish at least,
Why?
because I normally finish at least 6 minutes ahead of time. Okay. Actually, I do want to see if this resonates with you guys, because I on a serious note, I do normally finish way ahead of time. This time I was like, I don't know what I was doing actually. That's the problem.
You were on pandemic time.
Yeah. No, we just released a new brand, and so I was just trying to integrate the new brand in here. Can you guys see it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
looks good.
So this image isn't the best, but it's the best one. So mobile first strategy is a stepping stone in the maturity curve. Defining a mobile first strategy, designed before any other device, developed before any other device. Mobile first
That looks
is
good. Yeah.
Mobile maturity stages. So talk about the different stages of mobile maturity and how mobile first is only the second stage in 4. Kind of define the purposes of the presentation. So today we'll be talking about customers. Mobile drives business transformation and is now embedded everywhere. Then 2 useful approaches, and I'll go through 2 different approaches. And then I'll go through the second approach. And then Nick, the last thing that I wanted to talk to you about was, I want to see if, can you see this right now?
Yeah.
So I want to finish by saying, let's continue the conversation. If you guys want, so we have a mobile maturity assessment that we do for customers. I'll just offer it out. If people want to use it and kind of just see their results, I'll open it up to the larger audience. And then Nick, you and I, well, I shouldn't say we discussed, but I spoke to you about this concept of a roundtable that we've been hosting and having.
Yeah, I'm actually talking to my board about that tomorrow.
Yeah. I would love to open it up and see if there's any interest.
Yeah.
And that way, I mean, if you're talking to the board about it tomorrow, then I mean, this might be a good way. It's like, hey, listen, show of hands or whatever it is, right?
Yeah. So a large part of my board meeting tomorrow is the value of membership in 2021, and what does that look like as we're kind of, reinventing our entire portfolio here. And this roundtable thing has come up not just from you, but in some other instances as well in different formats. I've seen people using something like this. So yeah, I mean, I don't know what you're planning to tee up here, but
yeah, I'm just gonna say, hey, listen, guys. One of the things so we all know that COVID has been a little bit of a lockdown for most of us, and networking has become complicated. So one of the things that I have found value in is in virtual roundtable discussions with industry leaders. And what I wanted to do is open up the concept to see if there was any interest. At this point in time, it's not going to be RVA Tech sponsored, but I do foresee a future where it might be. Something like that.
Yeah, totally. That's fair. You can say that.
And then the right mobile delivery approach, and then just say, hey, listen, guys, we have a white paper on how mobile delivery should be approached, and started. Let me know if you want it, and I'll send it to you.
Sounds good.
And that's it. Mobility makes life better.
How long do you think you're going to go?
As long as you want me to go.
Well, we have a full hour. You don't have to take the whole hour. Most people go between 30 to 45 minutes, somewhere in there, and then open it up for Q&A. And the Q&A has been all over the place. Some sessions, it's more Q&A than we even have time for. We end up going to 1 o'clock and then, kind of going offline after that. But, and then sometimes people are quiet. You just never know. So be prepared for either, I guess. That's what I'm telling you.
Yeah, I mean, I think, sorry for yawning. Yeah, I think, sure.
And we are recording, so we will put this up in the archive. If y'all wanted to link to it in some way. And we may chop it up throughout the fall as well. If you have any gleaming nuggets of wisdom that we can chop into 10 or 15 second bite, and put on LinkedIn or Twitter or whatever. So
that's cool.
The roundtable thing has really gotten some steam in the last, I think you told me about it, a week or two ago. And then Kim Mahan has been talking to me a little bit about it. Some folks in my architecture world are doing a version of it. I've been looking at the Virginia Council of CEOs a little more closely. Because I think, none of us have any idea how long it's going to be until, a full conference comes back online. So we got to come up with some other strategies. It's, we can't wait around anymore.
I mean, I completely agree with that. I'm pulling something up to make you laugh because this is probably in line with conferences. Where was it?
Oh God, Lindsay, turn your stream off. I don't need Lindsay to get any more depressed than I think she already is.
Oh man.
No, this will make you laugh. I guarantee this will make you laugh.
I mean, I don't understand why I can't just have a conference and you decide, man. Come at your own risk. That's the policy. It's like the pool without a lifeguard, man. I don't.
Yeah.
You don't have it anymore.
I'm sad because we were supposed to go to South by this year, and obviously that got canceled. But they made us pick out of 2021, 22, 23, which year we were going to reschedule to, and they were smart by making us choose then. And in the fine print, you can't change it once you've selected a reschedule date. So obviously we picked March 2021, and there's no way in hell it's going to happen.
No. At least I don't think so.
I'm the pessimist, though. Nick's holding out hope.
I mean, I don't know. Maybe.
I just don't feel like, with that many people.
That's kind of where I'm headed.
Yeah.
I think events for sure, but not tens of thousands.
It's the international part too. There's so many people flooding in from all over the world for that event. So many elements of it. But I think sports is going to be the lead indicator for a lot of those big things because, once they're packing stadiums, well then
they can't tell us we can't.
Yeah. But as long as they're not doing that, if everybody's in a bubble, then they're not, then we're on hold too. So. I mean, they, one of the things I had on one of my slides for the board last quarter was churches. That was kind of a leading indicator with them opening up, how much people would be out and about at churches. And I don't know if y'all attend or seen anything, but mine has like 30 people in it, and it usually has 500. So
what church do you go to?
Bonaire Baptist. It's south side around Buford. But it's a big, they usually have 3 services, daycare, all that jazz. No daycare happening. I think only 2 services, and the one we go to is, it's almost embarrassing walking in. You feel bad for the preacher and the band and all those people. But
one of our, I can't find this anymore, by the way. One of so the church I used to go to, which was Area 10 in the Bird, they opened up, I think 2 weeks ago. And within a week, like they were just, I think their second week they had to close because somebody was with, somebody got COVID.
Yeah, I mean, there's that fear too that you'll be identified as the location of the outbreak, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, just Lindsay, that Maggiano's article. Oh,
Sorry.
Jesus Christ.
Oh no.
Hang on. I just had a big
Accident.
bug drop on me.
Oh.
What does that say?
What does it say?
I can't.
Okay,
Relearning how to hug
after the
That's
pandemic.
hilarious.
Well,
That's so
that's actually,
true.
that is funny. Alex, you may relate to this a little bit, but ever
That's
since
hilarious.
I joined
love
this
that movie.
association world, there's so much hugging that happens, and I've just never like figured it out. I'm just a handshake guy, and I'm also like, you know, tall AF, and it's just real hard to like hug a woman who's 5'1". Anyway, so I'm not opposed to never hugging again. I'm cool with that.
Nope. I mean, obviously I'm from Ecuador, but my family's from Boston. So in both situations,
Yeah.
The socially accepted bubble is
Yeah.
at least 3 times as large as it is here in Richmond. And so when I moved to Richmond and people were like within that like 16-foot space, I'm like, what is wrong with you? And over the last 10 years, I'm like, okay, I think I'm getting this. I think I'm getting the hang of this. Like, I just don't do the head nod anymore. I have to like actually like be nice.
It's challenging
It got into the hugging stuff, and now the hugging's gone. I'm like, yes, thank you. We're back to normal.
Oh man.
Hey, I'm gonna still be on the phone, but I'm gonna run up and run down.
Okay.
I'm gonna run.
Yeah, I was
to
gonna say
the
we
kitchen.
got 3 minutes. Yeah, if you want to go do what you need to do.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go fill up some coffee.
Cool.
One of those river bugs, huh?
Yeah, man. I still don't even know what it was, but it was
hilarious.
Gigantic. It like fell, Lindsay, like right on the screen. I was like, what?
Oh, that's terrifying. I would die.
I have a coffee here too. I just spilled that everywhere. It's a disaster.
Oh
no. But don't worry, my books are nicely arranged on my shelf here. I got the fire, you know, over where is the fire? Somewhere right there.
And you're like giant sized succulent. It cracks me up every time. I'm like, why is it so?
Oh man.
You got my email from Altria?
Yeah, I've scanned it just now on my phone.
Yeah.
I'll look at it.
I definitely, after this experience, will never go with Premiere again.
Yep. No. Well, cool. Now we learned. We tried it.
Yep. And it's not hurting us. So that's good.
Yeah.
Money-wise. I was about to order Lori's award, and I was like, Kate, do you want to make a 25th anniversary logo? Because we kind of did something like that for the 20th. So she said, absolutely. So she's going to get me a logo today or tomorrow, and I can start ordering.
Cool.
Hey guys.
Okay.
So how many people are supposed to be on this thing?
You had 30 some registered, which is pretty good for what we've been seeing lately. I mean, we were averaging, when we started April to May, we were averaging around 50 to 60. And then we saw kind of a deep dive into like the teens for a little bit. And then now we've been back up between 30 and 45-ish, everyone. So, and the retention has been good. I mean, the people that register versus the ones that actually show up has been pretty good lately. So, yeah, so we'll see. I'm not going to bring everyone over, Alex, because what we've started to notice is that the recording is actually a little bit cleaner and nicer if we just leave it as me, you, and Lindsay. And Lindsay and I also have logos, so when we stop, you won't see faces. It'll just be like that. And it'll look like you'll be, you know, more prominently highlighted, and it'll look better on the recording too. So
sounds good.
And Alex, do you, if you're comfortable with it, you can check the chat yourself and the Q&A yourself. And if you see things pop up, or I can pop in at the end and, go through them, in a moderated fashion. Do you have a preference?
Yeah. So what I'll do is I'll when I introduce, I'll say, hey, everybody there's a Q&A section below us. If you guys have any questions as I'm talking, please feel free to post them. I will try to keep my eyes on them and address them as I move forward. If not, we will address all of them at the end of the conversation.
Cool. Yep. Perfect. Okay. So we are at 12. I'm going to go ahead and hit broadcast. I'm going to kind of welcome everyone, just let everyone roll in. I will do a quick intro of you, and then I'll turn it over to you. Sound good?
Cool. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Here we go. 3, 2, 1, broadcast. Hey everyone, thanks for joining today. Welcome to today's episode of TIY featuring Shako and Alex Atanias. We will get started here in just a moment. So roll on in, grab a drink, settle in, and we'll get started here in just a second. Hey everyone, thanks for joining. We will get started here in just a minute. We're letting everyone kind of trickle in and we will get rolling. Thanks so much for attending. Hey everyone, thanks for joining us today during your lunch hour. We appreciate it. We will get started here in just a minute. All right, everyone, we will go ahead and get started. Thanks again for joining on today's episode of TIY Tech It Yourself, presented by RVA Tech. We are lucky to have Alex Atanias with us today from Shako Mobile by Design, and he is going to be talking to us about designing a mobile-first strategy. For those of you who don't know Alex, he currently serves as the COO for Shako, an emerging technology agency known for introducing impactful mobile, augmented reality, and voice solutions that drive today's leading retail and CBG businesses. Shako is one of Virginia's fastest growing digital companies and is featured in Forrester, Gartner, and Inc. and Entrepreneur Magazine. Alex has more than 10 years of experience in digital transformation and app development in a range of industries, including consumer goods, retail, and finance. So without further ado, Alex, I will pass it to you and the stage is yours. Thanks so much. Alex, if we can get you unmuted, we will be able to hear you and we can roll. There you go.
Let's try that again. Thanks so much, Nick, and thank you to everybody at RVA Tech for making this possible. Also, thank you to all of you on the call today for spending your lunch with me and learning more about how to design a mobile strategy. I will get this first piece out of the way before we start. In all fairness, the term a mobile-first strategy was primarily used as clickbait. I think we have gone way beyond that over the last 3 to 5 years, and as most of you have probably experienced in interacting with some of the brands that you work with. In our opinion, over the last 10 years, we've definitely found out that a mobile-first strategy is only a stepping stone in this maturity curve in the digital transformation. I was trying to find images this morning that depicted this, and I found this show on the, I think it was National Geographic that used to air quite some time ago. As you can see, these crab fishermen are trying to basically pull in crabs, and if the business that was running this adopted a mobile-first strategy, I am sure that these guys would be in a lot of trouble. So what these guys have done over the last few years is really understand how to transfer information into their ears and not necessarily only through mobile first. So before we continue into the actual strategy, I wanted to define what mobile first strategy meant and help you understand why it's only a stepping stone. This graph that is depicted here on the right is an excellent example of how essentially people climb the mountain and define this mobile strategy. So if we talk about a truly mobile first strategy, we're talking about designing for mobile before any other device and developing for mobile before any other device. And as most of you are aware and or have probably experienced, that can come with a lot of challenges and increased level of cost. Again, as Forrester actually denotes and depicts in this graph, it's probably the second phase in the maturity transformation. The final one being that business disruption. So as I stated at the introduction here, mobile first is only a stepping stone in this maturity curve. So I wanted to set some context in terms of the different stages that we have been through over the last 3 to 5 years. Unrelated to COVID, I think COVID has accelerated the digital transformation for a lot of businesses. But here are some of the ones that I have seen over the last 3 to 5 years at Shopko. The first stage that we all entered in, I guess, 2010, 2012 was what we called shrink and squeeze. It's essentially that the squeezing of what we saw on a website or a web screen or a desktop screen into a smaller screen, a mobile screen or a tablet. The real purpose of this was essentially to check the box on mobile. As mobile essentially started to become more popular and used by more people and really penetrate that population, businesses came out with this initiative to essentially take things mobile. Surprisingly, we still see a lot of this happening today, but the reality is we've moved into what a lot of people call customer experience transformation. For those of you that are not there and are still thinking mobile first is a state of mind or a state of place where we are enhancing that physical world with mobile experiences. We're trying to enable the transaction of information through mobile experiences. And the reality is for customers that are there, that's great. For businesses that are there, that's great. But you need to start moving into transforming that customer experience. We have this term that we use at Shopko, again, coined by some of the people at Forrester. It's called a mobile moment. It's that time and place where you actually reach into your pocket, reach for your desk, and pull out your mobile phone. It's that natural place that you basically get to that's called a mobile moment. Once you start understanding the mobile moments where your customer actually reaches into their pockets, that's where you get to the maturity stage that is called a transformation, customer experience transformation. In order to do that, you are really uncovering your customer needs. You're proactively engaging with your customers on a contextual basis. And the purpose, the business purpose behind that is really this broader digital transformation. One of the greatest examples that I have seen of this during COVID is actually curbside pickup or buy online, pick up in store, not for the concept itself, but for the maturity stage that a lot of these businesses have achieved. So for most of us that have quarantined, or for those of you that have quarantined and have been forced to stay inside, a lot of the businesses that we are used to interacting with have essentially been forced to provide customers a way to essentially buy online, pick up in store, or pick things up via curbside. The reality is that goes beyond mobile first. We are transforming the way these businesses have transformed the way that they engage with us, the customers. The reason I say that is it's not just about the experience that was created on the phone or on a website. It's about the operation that had to transform. The people that were serving the people that were serving the customers picking up at curbside, the new business processes and data that had to support that mobile first experience, the things that the operation team had to do to essentially engage with their customers at that mobile level. The last and final one in this maturity stage, one that most of us or most businesses will actually never achieve, is called business disruption. This is that stage in mobile where businesses actually get, entire industries and entire businesses get disrupted as a result of the mobile transformation. The example that comes to mind is Uber. Uber essentially released a mobile application, primarily interacted, or if not only interacted, through a mobile experience that revolutionized that transportation experience, the taxi experience. And so it's not just about doing business through that mobile app, it's about transforming an entire industry. Again, as we start reaching that final peak of maturity, a lot of us don't have a need to get there. We'll never get there, but it is one of the final stages in that mobile maturity stage. One thing that I forgot to point out is I will be addressing questions throughout the presentation, or I will try to. There's a Q&A section right below the screen here on Zoom. So if you do have questions about anything, feel free to post them. As I see them, I'll address them as the presentation goes on. So a little more context for today, right? Shako has actually gained its name or found great success in this center point. We actually build applications for employees, customers, and the operation as a whole. And one of the things that I just mentioned is, in terms of the customer experience transformation, it's not just about building a mobile application for a customer to engage with your brand. It's about transforming the entire business to actually center around mobile. Again, using that curbside experience, it's not just about providing the customer the ability to select curbside when they pick up a product. It's about understanding how that impacts the broader operation, your store associates, and everything else around that. For the purposes of today's conversation, I'll be focused on the customers. I know a lot of people that I have spoken to over the last few weeks are trying to understand a way to engage with customers at a mobile level. I know that comes with the implication of facilitating solutions for both the employees as well as the operations. But for the purposes of today, and with the examples that I will give you today, I will focus on the customer journey itself. So as I mentioned earlier, mobile drives business transformation and is now embedded everywhere. If your business is not focused or thinking about how to enable your customers through mobile applications, through mobile services, if your business is not focused or thinking about how to enable your employees through mobile applications or mobile services, I think you need to take a step back to really understand how you are going to get there. And I wanted to offer two solutions that we use at Shako with a lot of our customers as it relates to strategy, the initial aspects or initial phases of any conversation that we have with our clients. The approaches at Shako, we call these approaches product strategy and mobile enablement. They are two different approaches and can be used simultaneously or separate. The first one I'll talk to you guys about is product strategy. So here at Shako, we start with understanding impact. Most of our competitors, most people really start with a discovery phase. We want to understand the impact and define that impact that you wish for mobile to bring to your business. The second thing is really defining or designing to outcomes. For us, outcomes mean the human behavior. Really understand that human behavior from a customer perspective, the human behavior you wish to address, the human behavior used to reinforce, or the human behavior you want to change, the outcome. And then finally, we develop four outputs. The output for us is the actual mobile application, the actual digital application that a customer will be using. So it's about impacts, outcomes, and outputs. So we have a 7-step process that we actually go through with our product strategy. It's fairly unique and well documented, but it's gotten us a lot of great results with a lot of good customers. So the first thing is business research and interviews. As we go into this first phase of the product strategy, we want to understand the current experiences and future expectations of our customers. A lot of times when we engage with a lot of brands, they have a set expectation based on the way customers are engaging through a website, through their current mobile application, or through other digital means. We want to question everything, test it, and validate it. The input is really those experiences. How are people engaging in the digital world? How are people engaging in the physical world? We also do a lot of research to understand what competitors are doing and what leaders in the market space are doing. The output to this is really a summary of the research and the interviews that we have. One of the things that we've been challenged with during COVID is doing these discovery calls or this research remotely. And again, using technology, mobile technology specifically, we've been very successful. Our customer interviews are happening through solutions like Teams, Zoom, Google Meet. Our site visits are happening through WhatsApp video, Zoom video, FaceTime. And we are actually providing mechanisms by which our customers can actually create digital diaries of their experiences, or stores or brands can create digital diaries for us. So in challenging times like COVID, where we would otherwise be inside the stores, inside these brands with our customers, and in a physical situation, we've actually had to switch to using these mobile experiences. Once we do that research and we complete those interviews, we basically go into user profile and journey creation. We're trying to create these artifacts that map out the pain points and the user journey, really understanding what are the things that need to be fixed in the physical journey is the most important thing to us. Bypassing that creates issues. So understanding that full journey from start to finish is essential to any mobile application creation, any new feature addition, any augmentation. The output really is these journey maps, these intricate journey maps that help us understand really where are the pain points and what do we need to solve. Talking about solving the pain points, we actually move into creating new artifacts. How are we going to overcome the physical pain points that customers are having? Map out the future user journeys. Doing all this in advance of creating the mobile application is essential to the strategy. Really, you want to understand what are the main touch points for a customer journey and how you are going to address them. The result of the user journey, the interviews, and the research is really this product vision, this strategy outlining the problems, understanding the metrics, the impact that you are going to make, and the customer experience that your business wishes to create as a result of that. Once we're done with that research and understanding what the customer journey looks like, we go into design. Design is an extremely important aspect or part of the creation of this mobile solution. One of the things that we have been successful with is really creating this visual foundation for mobile applications. So we take the brand standards. Most of the companies that we work with have a set of brand standards, fonts, colors, assets, and really this brand story. Using that, we basically create this design system that serves as the backbone for any future designs in mobile applications that we create. What this allows us to do is really build one or more applications relatively quick and with accuracy. And so as you build not just one application, but 2, 3, 4 applications for any big business or brand, the development and design of that application will become quicker as you start having this system in place. Finally, information architecture. If you've built websites, you're probably familiar with this, right? So outline the organization of the proposed application. Understand the different screens that a customer is going to be interacting with. As you can see here to the right, it's very, very similar to the IA that you would use for a website, but we're trying to understand how a customer will interact with a brand. How is that experience structured? Really, the thing that most people value the most, I shouldn't say value the most, but the most engaging is designs. After we have the interview, the experience design, the journey maps, and the information architecture, what we normally go through is rough prototypes. There's so many different systems that you could use to create that user experience to reflect that brand and customer experience. You could do something as simple as pencil and paper. You could go into a tool like Figma, but the reality is whatever it takes to basically bring that story to life with the input that I just mentioned above, it's essential to really capture that process and test it out before you actually start developing it. And then finally, as you start the development process or the creation of that mobile experience, we strongly suggest having analytics in place. The only way you are going to measure success is through a strong analytics program. As it relates to the customer experience and the implementation of mobile applications, we love using this framework actually laid out by Google called HEART. It measures user happiness, user engagement, user acquisition, retention, and task success as it relates to the mobile application. So those are really those 7 aspects of a product strategy that we go through with any given customer. We have found it to be extremely successful with respect to creating new products, creating new features within a mobile application, and really building an existing application and creating more engagement. One of the things, or one of the reasons that this process has been so successful over the last 6 to 8 months, or primarily since COVID happened, is because it's quick. Something like this could take about 6 to 8 weeks, in some cases 4, but the reality is after 6 weeks of doing this, you could quickly go into a development life cycle, or the development of the application, especially if you have an existing mobile application, and deploy features that are very helpful for an application, especially in times like today, when we feel like the business world is quickly transforming and moving into a new state of engagement. The second approach that I wanted to talk to you guys about today is really mobile enablement. As Nick mentioned, we've been working on mobile applications, augmented reality, virtual reality, voice, and AI for the last 10 years. And we get a lot of the same questions at different points in time. Since COVID happened, since March, we've been getting more of these questions. And I thought it would be interesting to talk about how we enable companies to be better at mobile. So we talked about product strategy. Product strategy is a means to an end as it relates to adding new features or creating a brand new product. When I speak to a lot of the larger Fortune 500, Fortune 2000 enterprises, they already have existing teams. And so even though they can use something like a product strategy, what they're looking to do is enable the businesses. The questions that we get from them, if you guys are on the call today, is what are the apps that I need to be successful? Like, what do I need to supply my customers? What do I need to supply my employees? And how do I drive a better operation? Where do we go from here? So we built one application. The reality is, with a lot of the brands that we speak to, once they build one application, the process has never been and will never be very, very streamlined. And we've seen too many brands, too many businesses simply give up. So they want to understand where to go. And then how do we meet the demand? Where is the demand? How do I create demand? So these are the same 3 questions that we've been getting over the last 10 years. So these are the things that we're trying to answer, right? So web strategies may not translate to a mobile strategy. Too many times what I see with a lot of our customers is the translation of what we did for web into mobile. So this is how I secured my information in web. Therefore, this is how I should secure it in mobile. This is how my customers interacted in web. Therefore, this is how I should secure it in mobile. The reality is mobile is not like web. You are presenting information in a different contextual manner, and you have to approach it differently. So we start with again, a set of questions or a series of steps that we work with a lot of enterprise clients. The first is identify the mobile opportunities. Where do you think that you have the best opportunity to engage customers in a mobile moment? How do you create a design and development process that is specific to mobile? The technology at times might be different, and the process at times will be different. How do you create measurements that track on-time delivery at scale securely? Beyond mobile, how do you prepare for emerging technology? Things like augmented reality, things like artificial intelligence, things like voice, they are all separate technologies that are primarily driven through mobile. If you think about augmented reality, if you don't have a headset or glasses, you are using a mobile phone. If you think about artificial intelligence, a lot of the artificial intelligence that is being tested today is being driven through mobile applications. And if you think about voice, most people think about Alexa and Google Home. The reality is most voice applications are happening through mobile. So how do you prepare for emerging technology? And then finally, or the last 2 I should say, is unlock resources in existing systems. So how do you take your current resources? How do you take those resources that are basically supporting your mainframes? How do you take those resources, and I just went old school there, but how do you take those resources that are supporting your existing products, your CRM, your ERP, your digital asset management solutions? How do you take them and bring them into a mobile mindset? How do you foster this culture of innovation? These are the questions that we address through that mobile enablement process. So how do you start? You start by defining the applications that you need. A lot of, with customers that we've experienced, mobile's been around for about 10 or 15 years now. I guess 12 to be specific. But the reality is we need to define the app initiatives, especially as you're working with an enterprise. For those of you that work with enterprise clients, if you are in the position that we've been in, mobile is happening sporadically across the organization. So bringing that together in a concise manner is extremely important. Making sure that you have an app, a roadmap is also important. Those are the two things that enterprise clients have to start with. Define the app initiatives that the entire enterprise is taking on, and define the roadmap. How are you going to essentially build the roadmap? Mobile applications should be treated like products, and you should have a mobile roadmap for all your applications and for every specific application as well. A big question that we get in terms of what are the apps that we need is hub versus standalone applications. How many applications do you really need, right? So do we need an enterprise application or a business level application that has everything in one? Think about your experience with Target. Target has one application. I believe they used to have two, but they centralized it into one. It works for them. They have one standalone application. Some businesses have multiple applications. Think about Uber, right? So Uber, as far as I know, has two main applications. They might have a little more. Actually, they have three, but you have Uber Eats. The purpose of Uber Eats is to allow a customer to order food. They have the main Uber application to order transportation, point A to point B. So they have two applications. And then finally, think about whether you could provide mobile solutions through third-party mobile applications. So what is the experience that you are trying to create? Coming back to that customer experience, what we're working with customers is to understand how many applications they need. One application, two applications, or can you solve your need through third-party mobile apps? As you guys start experiencing or start understanding or defining the strategy for your mobile application, a caution that I would lay is around third-party mobile apps. Third-party mobile apps for the enterprise are fantastic. They are incredible. What we have seen in the last 2 to 3 years is a lot of the enterprise solutions, such as Salesforce, such as Oracle, such as Microsoft, are building fantastic applications, but the licensing structure that they are using is for enterprise applications, for employee-based applications. So as soon as you take an application that is built for employees and extend it to your customer base, that licensing structure needs to change. It needs to reflect the fact that you are going to have thousands of users, not hundreds of employees. So be careful when you are moving into that third-party mobile app situation, and make sure that you double check the licensing agreements so you're not stuck with licensing agreements for thousands of users when it was intended to be used for hundreds of users. Coming back to mobile enablement, the reality is that this transformation is going to take time, and it applies to enterprises just as much as it does to startups, right? We're not shrinking and squeezing anymore. Mobile first is quickly going away, and we're really trying to transform experiences through mobile applications. The one thing that I would say about this is make sure you have a clear strategy to deliver information to the edge. The edge is the point in time or the point in place where information is consumed. And when we're talking about mobile can be the edge, but not always. So as we're starting to transform experiences, I think the most important thing that you guys should take away from this one slide or this conversation is delivering information in a concise manner through API services is essential to build these experiences. Again, the way we did it for websites no longer works. The way we did it for mobile applications in the early days no longer works. Making sure that you have a solution to deliver information is critical to transform that experience. It's going to take time and it's going to become an investment, but that's what you need to do as you go through this mobile maturity curve. So coming back, you'll probably see some similarities of how to get from point A to point B in terms of the mobile enablement. It's very, very similar to the product strategy, but it is built for larger enterprises. So make sure you understand the impact that you're trying to make, the goals, the objectives, right? What are the challenges you are looking to address as it relates to mobile? Why do you really need a mobile strategy? A lot of businesses do it to check the list or check the box, but the reality is you really need to be invested in mobile before you move into it. And finally, how are you going to measure that success? We start with the current state, making sure we understand how you are organizing or how you are currently organized for mobile, understanding how you're building, what's the process that you guys are using, understand what is the process that you are using for building mobile technologies. Finally, as it relates to technology, what is that architecture? What is the solution architecture that you are going to be putting in place to support mobile applications? With respect to a solution architecture, I think it's a mindset that you have to be in. Yes, there are correct architectures and incorrect architectures, but the reality is it's going to evolve over time. And if you give up the first time you put an architecture in place, mobile will never be successful. And if mobile is not successful, nor will any other emerging technology be successful. So as you start assessing the current state of your situation in your enterprise, keep in mind that architecture evolves and will need to evolve in order to be successful with respect to mobile. The future state, the second thing, right? So understand the skill sets that you will need to support mobile solutions. As it relates to skill sets, the skill sets will vary. And even though some of them will be transferable, the reality is you will need to really define what those skill sets are in order to be successful. As I mentioned before, security for mobile is different. We're talking about securing the endpoints. We're talking about securing the screen. We're talking about going beyond simply securing a website. So think about security, right? And finally, that process of innovation. Make sure you ingrain innovation and the process of innovation, the process of iteration in your workforce. The things that we think about as it relates to a strategic plan, it's prioritizing initiatives. Make sure those initiatives line up to a larger goal. Timeline and estimates. Make sure you have accurate timelines and estimates. And once you have those, add a few weeks to it because it's going to take time. And then make sure you constantly have this roadmap. The last thing I'll talk about is really this mobile strategy. So with respect to a mobile strategy, we have this Kickstart program, and I'm happy to share it with everybody on the call here. Send me an email, post your email here. We have this survey that we have used with the majority of our enterprise customers. The point of the survey is to really understand where you stand in this mobile maturity curve. Are you talking about, is your primary goal really shrink and squeeze? Are you still in that mobile first approach, or are you really thinking about transforming customer experiences? The survey takes about, I would think, 15 to 20 minutes, and it really involves a mix of executives or a mix of stakeholders, from executives, directors, stakeholders, and really anybody in between. It is not focused on the outfacing how you are building an enterprise to support mobile. But as I mentioned, it takes about 15 or 20 minutes, and it really cuts across a various levels of mobiles, from how you're going to support it, how you're going to build experiences around it, and how you are going to create a roadmap for it. The survey compiles the results and is really quick to get to. And the reality is, through this survey, you can figure out what your challenges are, where your weaknesses are, and how you're going to leverage them. And it's easier because it is an objective way to get consensus around an organization's view of mobile. Through this survey, we have really found a way to really baseline where your enterprise stands as it relates to mobile applications and how to move forward. We've done this for banks, we've done this for retail, we've done this for consumer products, and we've seen a lot of good success, especially at the executive level. Once we have a baseline, I think these are the 4 things that I would do, or I would take into account as we're starting to plan for mobile, right? So development environment, right? That's the first thing we talk about with our clients. As you guys know, a lot of just a lot of our technology is shifting into the cloud. But with some situations, we're talking about whether we own everything or we put it in a public facing or public environment, public cloud. So there's a cost here, right? So do we own everything or do we throw everything on the cloud? The second thing is the deployment strategy. Are we deploying everything, or are we basically outsourcing all our applications to a third party, right? And where do you stand there? The third one is augmenting demand. This talks about people primarily. So how are we going to get to building these applications? How are we going to support these applications? Do we hire or do we partner? Do we acquire a company? These are questions that as an organization, you should be answering once you have that survey or once you have a baseline. Bringing on people to build mobile applications is a great idea until you get into the support phase where you essentially have too many people. So really being able to shift that lever is essential to the success of any mobile initiative. And then finally, mobile capabilities. Once you understand the technologies that you will be supporting through the mobile experience or through this mobile growth, it's best if you understand where your skill sets lie. Think about your project managers or your product owners. Think about your designers and user experience strategists. Think about your developers. Where does their maturity as it relates to their understanding of mobile stand? Where does your maturity relate to as it relates to security or cloud hosting experience? So really understanding where that lies and where you want to push it to is part of these guiding principles. Again, development environment, deployment strategy, how do you augment that demand? And then finally, where do your capabilities stand? Having that survey and understanding these guiding principles is the key to any enterprise success as it relates to mobile. I wanted to leave you with this as it relates to sustainable growth. So again, better and cheaper is not always better, but optimization is, and really integrating that awareness. In terms of what you want to do is really understand how you are going to fill each one of these areas of the mobile chart. So I'm not going to talk to all of them, but I think there are a few key ones that I truly believe in that you should really focus on. Process and governance. How are you going to basically build mobile application? How are you going to guide it? With respect to a lot of the enterprise clients that we work with, mobile applications are basically spread across the organization, and the way they develop them, the way they govern them, and the way they update them is all over the place. Make sure you guys understand it doesn't necessarily have to be centralized, but really understanding how you get to that end result is extremely important. I think one of the companies that I love best that has at least 15 or 20 applications for customers is Google. Obviously, they're a technology first company, but if you download any Google application, the user experience is always the same. Your expectations are always the same. And the reality is the learning curve for any one of their applications is relatively low once you have one of their applications. It's because they have a really good process and a great governance. The second thing is really reliability and flexibility as it relates to the hosting environment and the API or the third party layers that essentially connect the mobile application with the backend. Make sure that you build a reliable. Ever look at the App Store, iTunes or Android, one of the biggest complaints on that and data is not an issue with the mobile application. It's an API. It's an issue with that connection point. Make sure that you are reliably connecting your mobile application to your backend. If I were to leave everybody with one point of advice, it's make sure that the integration point and the API is well thought of as you approach mobile. It's extremely important with mobile. And as we move into artificial intelligence, machine learning, voice, it becomes even more important because you're essentially exposing your data to your consumers. And if you don't expose it right with the right timing, then you will have a lot of frustrated customers. The third one here, as it relates to key drivers, is design standards or a design system. As I mentioned before, having a similar design system or a similar user experience across one or many applications is critical to the success of any application. Just a few days ago, we were talking to a brand that has a website and is moving into a mobile application as a result of COVID. And within their website alone, there was, I think, 6 or 7 different fonts, 6 or 7 different call to action, 6 or 7 different plugins that were basically creating a different experience. Make sure you have a design system, design standard, and a user experience that is very intentional and relates to your brand. More so than websites, in my opinion, mobile represents your brand and can grow your brand. So failing at mobile is bad. So that's what I have for you guys today. It's really about product strategy and product enablement. I wanted to open it up for questions to see if anybody had any question of the conversation there. Obviously, this is just a small insight into how we do mobile strategy at Chicago. Happy to send the mobile maturity assessment to you guys. If anybody wants this mobile maturity assessment, if nothing else but to test where you guys are, please send me an email. Let me know the Q&A. The second thing that I wanted to open up is a roundtable. One of the things that we have been doing at Shaco with a lot of our prospects, a lot of our clients, and a lot of our colleagues in the industry is roundtables. We get together once every 4 to 6 weeks and to really discuss how topics around with respect to COVID, with respect to new experiences. The one rule about roundtables is never sell. So we're not selling, but sharing experiences. So happy to sponsor this, happy to host this. At the current moment in time, the roundtable is not part of and or hosted by RVA Tech. I'm sure they are considering it. So please let us know. And then finally, we have a white paper created by our VP of Operations, Misty Smith. It really walks you through this approach that I just spoke about. We believe in the right mobile delivery approach, and it's a great way to really start that path down to mobile. I'm 2 minutes shy, so I really wanted to open it up to questions and see if anybody had any. So I see one from Chris. Would love to learn how your clients are able to maintain the applications after your engagements. So there's really 2 things that we do. Well, maintenance for mobile is a little bit tricky. The reason I say that is once you start mobile, clients demand new products, new features in applications. The reason they do that, I'll call it the Facebook effect, right? So Facebook releases a new feature, new functions, and really new versions of their application at least twice a week. And so customers are constantly wanting more. So with respect to maintaining applications after deployment, the reality is you have to have a roadmap. That's why a roadmap is essential. Once you have mobile applications, think about e-commerce, right? Once you had e-commerce, customers demanded BOPIS, buy online, pick up in store. Once you had that, customers demanded curbside. Once you have curbside, customers demand chat. So the reality is it's about making sure that you have a roadmap. As it relates to the actual development or support of the applications, there's really 2 methods. One is work with us to really maintain that roadmap, work with our product owners, work with our strategists, really stay 1 step ahead of the customers. The second thing is really training your team. If you have web developers, if you have actual developers, making sure that you create a development training process to basically transition them from the technology they're supporting to this mobile solution that they will be supporting. We work with our clients from that perspective. We make sure that the development team, if the goal is to support the application, is ready to do so once they take it over. But the reality is mobile is never stagnant. If you think about CRM or ERP solutions, you deploy it after this long, lengthy process, and then you can actually work with it for a few years. Mobile's different. Mobile's a different beast. Customers demand and expect new features and functionality on an ongoing basis. So making sure that your team is ready for that is essential to the success. Chris, not sure if that answered your question. Nick, I'm not sure if you got any other questions or if you want to open it up.
Sure. No, I don't see any, Alex. I think, you know, pending anything that comes in here in the next minute, we can go ahead and wrap it up for the day. Appreciate your time, Alex. Great content as always. Thanks for the thought and the time you put into your slides as well. It's always nice, especially on Zoom, to have folks who put some time into their slides and their presentation. So great content all around. I appreciate it. And for anyone who came in halfway or maybe wants to share this around, we will put this up on our archive at rvatech.com. And we will have this floating around on social as well throughout the fall if you want to kind of come back to it and check on it. But again, thanks so much for joining today. Alex, thank you for being our speaker. If you want to connect with Alex, his LinkedIn is in the chat box as well as his email. Pretty easy. It's alex@shaka.com, also on your screen there. And thanks again for attending. We have many more of these. If this is your first TIY webinar, we usually do at least one of these a week, if not more. So please check out our calendar again at rvatech.com, and hopefully we'll see you next time on TIY. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Nick.